When running YouTube ads, do you need a higher frequency per user to make it work? Well, it depends on the stage of the journey. So are you doing proactive? Are you doing re-engagement? Are you doing remarketing? Those are things that you have to ask yourself. On proactive, you never really want to go above a 2. In your re-engagement, and keep it 3 and 4, sometimes maybe 5. And if you're doing remarketing, you could be comfortable in a 8 to 12 all day long.
I know you've got tons of questions, John.
Let's do some Q&A.
Jump onto them.
John Moran's dog, best YouTube live, long time listener. Thanks. Thank you, sir or madam. I don't know. My dog's a boy, so you'll be a boy. All right. Can you quickly talk about what kind of optimization you usually make when running YouTube ads? Do you ever exclude channel placements when optimizing? So I only exclude channel placements when optimizing if they're apps and kids games. Those little hungry children just love to click on things. They just are click hungry. So that is usually where I will typically remove. Now, my biggest optimizations that I will make outside of my interest targeting and keyword targeting is going to be the demographics. So I don't take too much weight into who they are identified by. I take weight into how Google identified them. So for example, if Cameron's an 18 to 24-year-old female that is converting very well, I don't care that Cameron's not an 18 to 24-year-old female, but I'm going to optimize for what Google thinks is an 18 to 24-year-old female. So I will never usually, unless it's just like oh my gosh, this is a bad idea to start this way. Like you're not going to sell adult diapers to an 18 to 24-year-old group. Just bad idea. Use some common sense. But I will only start excluding when the data is showing that those are the people that I need to be marketing towards. It may be identified wrong, but those are still the people that I need to go after. So I would only start to hack off like, hey, for whatever reason, 18 to 24-year-old is spending the most, converting the least. Everything else looks great. This probably works best for that group. It's just not hitting them. So let's exclude them for now while we go figure out what's wrong. Now, why isn't that hitting? Because Google's data is not always correct. So I don't care that the color is purple and it's actually blue. I'm going to spend more on purple because purple's selling. That's kind of how we have to react to the data. But it's always channel is only on apps and kids games because auto targeting means whatever stuff Cameron's into. I don't know what Cameron's into music wise. And if I find out he likes techno and I'm showing ads on techno pages, I don't care. I'm trying to find Cameron. Cameron, we have to be on techno pages. I found Cameron. So that's how we have to think about that.
Got it.
How should I allocate the budget between PMAX and standard shopping in the feeder strategy? Omni-channel traffic, 70% Google, 30% Meta, time lag, 10 days, industry appeal. So if you have 70% Google, 30% Meta, I would actually use about a initially 50-50 start of allocation. However, I will let CPC dictate what I would need to do next. If you're running 50-50 and your CPCs are very close, drop your TROAS target on your standard shopping campaign lower, and then increase your TROAS target on your PMAX campaign higher. You're trying to force the CPC down in PMAX to go display, and you're trying to force the CPC up in standard shopping to get for positions for quality searches. One does proactive inbound, one does remarketing. So I would look at that from because you're not heavy meta, you can afford to be heavy standard shopping. And then let's say this works well for you and your TROAS targets are in line. You can see that you got $1 clicks on PMAX and $4 clicks in standard shopping and everything looks good. Only scale standard shopping. Do not touch PMAX. Only scale standard shopping. All right. I have a campaign set at TCP of $100, but I'm currently getting 50-ish, both in-app, Google, and slightly lower in reality. Should I start bringing my TCPA down or keep the same? No. Keep your TCPA the same. Start slowly scaling. Now, I'm glad you asked this question on this video because as you slowly scale, it's okay for the short term for your metrics to start looking worse. You're just filling the pipeline with more colder people who have not purchased yet. Be patient. It will come back up. But what you're saying is your campaign is actually Google's trying to get down to $100 or get up to $100 TCPA goal, and you're already exceeding that, and Google is just going to make you more aggressive. Great, scale. That's what you need to do now.
Your dog asks a lot of questions, Sean.
He's great talking.
I think there's like 30 from John Moran's dog.
We'll go as fast as we can. Have you tested the feeder strategy with shopping PMAX, or PMAX includes all its assets? And no, I don't actually include all assets because that gives PMAX the ability to go proactive target anybody they want on any channel with any type of inventory they need to get rid of that day. And like Gmail ads, it can dump 80 grand in Gmail ads one day if it wants to. I won't give it that sort of control. So PMAX feed only seems to be the safest, at least. When running YouTube ads, do you need a higher frequency per user to make it work? Well, it depends on the stage of the journey. So are you doing proactive? Are you doing re-engagement? Are you doing remarketing? Those are things that you have to ask yourself. On proactive, you never really want to go above a 2. In your re-engagement, and keep it 3 and 4, sometimes maybe 5. If you have a high a high time lag or a higher AOV, they need more consideration. And if you're doing remarketing, you could be comfortable in a 8 to 12 all day long, as long as you're not spending all of your money there. Don't do that. But what you want to balance is how much money do I want to put in the stage and how much do they need to be in that stage? And that's when you measure, am I proactive? If this frequency is 5, I can see my NCAT go up and my spend go up, but no new customer. Okay, maybe I'm overshowing. So you have to look at it in your own light. If you're doing a prospecting campaign on YouTube sequencing, I'm going to show them 37 ads. Okay, well, that's a sequencing campaign with 37 ads is 37 frequency unique. That might kill people. So maybe not do that. And you can kind of see as they start to go through that sequencing campaign, I kind of lose them by the 6th ad. Okay, there's your prospecting funnel. That's where you get to lose engagement. After 6 ads, they go away. So make your funnel 6 ads, rearrange those ads to find out the best version of those 6. What needs to be shown for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. So it's always a unique use case, but hopefully there's some tools to like break it down and how to measure it in bite-sized chunks at the stage of their journey. Is this normal in Google Ads? The past 30 days, I've had 7,000 visitors from Google Ads. When I create a marketing list, it only populates about 500 people. If so, how do you go about your remarketing? I don't actually remarket Google Ads at all. I remarket, unless it's YouTube, I will remarket solely on Meta. My opinion, Google is a very poor platform to remarket because what the user is doing at that time. If I'm on YouTube, I'm looking for something. I'm trying to achieve something. I'm looking for reviews. Maybe it's in Meta and Instagram. I'm just trying to find something interesting. You know, I have nothing to do here. My thumb's on autopilot. That's the time where it's like, hey, remember me? Like, oh yeah. But I don't want to be like, hey, you know that cat video your wife just sent you? I'm going to show you a go-kart instead. It's like, you know, it lands less. All right. You often say the standard shopping drives more new traffic and new customers than PMAX. Says PMAX feed only primarily get impacted by site traffic because dynamic marketing takes too much credit. Oh yeah. PMAX feed only is primarily driven by site traffic. That's why feeder strategy works. What you have to do is adjust the level of new traffic into PMAX, but that's also dependent upon what PMAX can capture. If you've been spending $100,000 a day on YouTube on Meta, for an example, and you launch a $10 PMAX and a $20 standard shopping campaign, or if you launch a $10 PMAX and a $1,000 standard shopping campaign, you may have way too much traffic that PMAX can already capture before your small standard shopping campaign that's only spending 1% of your budget, even at $1,000 a day, would even have an impact. It's like 1/100th remarketing in PMAX that users, because I have 100 million people I get to capture. You added 10,000. Great, your ratio went 0.1% difference. Like that's the thing, is you have to overload PMAX with new traffic, but you have to take case into, well, where is PMAX going now? And that's where you have to look at your omni-channel spend. High meta spend, PMAX campaign is going to spend 10 grand a day before it can break out into people it can't target anymore. So that's how we have to think about this. You previously mentioned you had a feeder strategy for YouTube. Yes, so feeder strategy for YouTube is actually fairly simple. You want to develop a own landing page. You want to develop an isolated page that only your YouTube traffic can go to. That's step number 1. It's easy to identify that in this silo because it's not going to necessarily grab, and send users to different directions. So you want to keep an isolated traffic into a landing page that's hidden from the sitemap. You want to send 2 different forms of traffic in there. One is a CPM or CPV, whichever bidding strategy you prefer, on a sequencing campaign. The sequencing campaigns allow you to, and I'll make a video about this. Sequencing campaigns allows you to actually set people down a path. You know what? This is actually worth the 2-minute explanation, because I'll probably see a lot of this. Actually covers the time lag issue too, and feeder strategy and aware and unaware. So this is actually right up our alley. But I'm gonna share screen on something. Let me do this. Let me pause camera because I want to be very fast. I know we have like 13 minutes left, and I don't want to take too much time on this. But it's really important for everyone to see. Just give me one quick second. I'm pulling this up. Please be patient. You know what? I'll share screen so you're all not bored. Who cares? You're all just going to watch what I do for a minute.
And they're not all questions, but sometimes it's just words of encouragement. So no
problem.
Good. You might get through them all.
Hey. All right. So we're going to go back to when we first started doing this in, I don't know, sometime right around here. So we did campaign type is video. All right. Small little campaign here. Well, we spent 30 grand in like this, December to January. This is a sequencing campaign. So this is what these are overlooked, and a lot of people don't like them because they don't report conversions very well, and everyone measures by ROAS. So this is what you overlook sometimes, which is actually a really cool sequence. So I'm going to put everybody through a 4-step sequence. And my step sequence transition is view. This means, okay, if you view ad number 1, then you're going to view ad number 2. If you did, you view ad number 3. If you did, you view ad number 4. But if you skip 1, I still send you through the same sequence. I'm just now going to, your transition step is going to be, did you get impressed by the ad? So I'll still make you watch all 4. You have a 4 frequency, however you go through this funnel. But now I get to see the drop-off points. And because I labeled like this one, sequence 2 skipped 1, sequence 3 skipped 1, you can kind of see the path that people took. So when you measure the actual sequence, I can see if in this, oh man, not time period of that. I go back to my time period. Let's do here to here. I think that covers it. Yeah. All right. So now we see when they see video 1, they got a 0.32% click-through rate. But when they skip 1 and watch 2, it goes up. So they skipped an ad and it went up. And then they skipped ad number 1, but then they watched number 3 and we still kept it pretty decent. Then they skipped 1 and watched 4, they still were pretty decent. When they watched 1 and then they watched 2, it actually has gone down. If you watched 1, skip 2, watch 3, it went down. So I can kind of see that my ads, that when you kind of force them through a position, they don't really like it. But if you give them the option, if they skip 1 and then they start to see these other 3, perfect. Number 1, 2, and 3, and 4 work best, but you have to actually show number 2, then 4, then 1, then 3. That's your level of hierarchy now because of level of engagement. Once we have identified that, we started to scale up a bit, and you see conversion starting to rise from going from 3 to 16 to 21, and then we got banned because this is selling like a sexual product, and they don't like erectile dysfunction products on YouTube for supercharged male stack. So anywho, it was going good until YouTube hated us. But that sequencing campaign guarantees a 4x frequency on all of your cold traffic, which is so much better than if you look at every other video campaign that is a like a conversion campaign like this one is here, and you look at your average frequency on a conversion campaign is actually quite low. So your average frequency per user on these campaigns is 1.7. My sequence is a 4. So if you're like, oh no, I keep adding in more ad spend and nothing's happening. Yeah, because you're not actually re-engaging anybody. You're just burning through people faster. Knock it off. These won't convert very well. Yes, this is your feeder. This is brand new people that haven't seen this before. So you combine these two together. Now, we didn't do that because we were testing everything. We were testing a whole bunch at the same time. And then we started building everything else everywhere else, yada, yada, yada. We actually ended up launching our own YouTube account because it works so well. So this is old data. But you can kind of see when your retargeting campaigns can get a 20x on people. So you can absolutely build a feeder, but you're not going to do it with only conversion campaigns. They stick at 1.5 to 1.7 permanently. So you have to get creative, use different type of sequencing. You could pay a whole lot less for the people. Your CPMs are cheaper than your conversion campaigns typically. And this is a way to warm up cold traffic and tell them a story. But if you measure it by this way, you will fail.